Happy Friday morning, everybody, and welcome to a live episode of Mornings with the Outlaw here on the Outlaw Nation channel. And thank you all so much for joining us, or if you're joining us later, thank you so much for clicking on this and watching it, or if you're listening to us later on the Outlaw Nation Podcast Network, thank you so much for downloading the episode as well. We got a fun, packed show for you today. First, let me introduce, I am the Outlaw John Rocha, and I'm joined as always now I'm joined as always by my special guest. There you go. I'm going to get it right. It's Friday, everybody. My special guest, Alex Shashek over there in St. Louis. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
I'm good. I'm waking up. I'm good. It's Friday morning. I did like 4 shows back to back last night. So I got energy for this show, and then I'm going to go back into my coffin and go down into the darkness with what we do in the shadows for about 2 or 3 hours, and then come back out again for something else later on today.
Well, I mean, sometimes you just got to ask yourself, like, how early is it okay to take a nap? Can I take a nap at like 10:30 a.m. or is that considered like too weird? Or I don't know.
I'm with naps like some people are with wine. How early is it to start drinking wine?
It's 5 o'clock somewhere, right? 12 o'clock somewhere, whatever.
Naps are like I don't know. They're like energy drinks in reverse. You know, they kind of like put you in. Once you go down, but when you wake up, you're ready to go. So I always appreciate those things as they come. But anyway, congratulations to everybody. You made it to Friday. Congratulations. Woo! Hope you're all right. Hope you all are doing well. Alex, are you doing well? How are things in your world? You were up late last night as well.
I wasn't up late, super late. To be honest, I ended up I popped some melatonin right before bed, so easy peasy. Nice. So I slept like a rock last night, so that's pretty nice.
Like a rock. I love it. All right,
like
cool.
A rock.
So Alex is ready to go. I hope you all are ready to go. Remember, we are open with for your Streamlabs and your Super Chat. Send those things in. See the address above Alex. She's got the Streamlabs address there right above her head. Send those comments, questions, suggestions, things of that nature into the show so we can answer them as we go along. We got so much to jump into. I do want to say one last thing before we get into it, and that's a big thank you to all the people who've subscribed to the Outlaw Nation channel over the last 24 hours. Spanky 445, Darren Cahill, Just Ver, Josh Weinstock, good people, Matt Mason 17 or Matt Masson 17, Martin Scup, Jaws 629, Busk Troll 87, Alvaro Gomez, and the Game Cupboard. So thank you so much for joining us here on the Outlaw Nation as we keep marching towards that 15,000 mark and then on further to the 20,000 subscribers mark. So, all right, real quickly, already a Super Chat and a Streamlab here real quick. Let's see. The Super Chat is Larry Lease. Let me bring him up here on the chat here. Larry Lease.
Dude.
He says, good morning, Rocha. Currently binging Alfred Hitchcock. Strangers on a Train is a great film. It is a great film. Absolutely. Nice. Alex, what's your experience with Alfred Hitchcock? Do you watch a lot of his stuff or for training for the fan leagues you're in?
Yeah. So I was like, I didn't discover Hitchcock. I didn't watch my first Hitchcock movie until Rear Window, and I had to watch it in college. Right. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. I haven't seen all the Hitchcock movies, but I've seen more than half. I want to say, Marnie, Psycho, obviously, Rear Window, like you mentioned, etc. But every single one I watch, I'm like, dang it, this is a beautiful movie. This is stunning. Not to mention, what's his name? Bernard Herrmann, the composer for a majority of his for composer for most of his movies. I think 7 movies he composed for. What a fantastic composer. Yeah. Everything he did. So no, everything behind the scenes kind of puts a little in perspective. I'm not going to lie. Kind of makes some scenes a little harder to watch, but I'm like, dang, dude, this is still a good movie. I should have liked this as much as I do.
Yeah, I agree.
Really wonderful. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm really jealous, Larry. You're going to watch the marathon these movies.
Yeah, that's a smart move, Larry. There's a lot to enjoy there. All right, we're going to jump into things. I got about 75 of y'all watching us live. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm sure that number will go up. But please swing that cursor button over, hit the like, and give this show some love on your end, and get us to 100 likes as soon as possible, and then start marching towards 150 likes. And maybe we'll cross 200 likes by the time the show ends. We shall see. And don't forget, Streamlabs Super Chats are up, and let's jump into it. Now, the first story we're going to get into is, of course, the big thing that was erupting all over social media yesterday, and that is the return of Henry Cavill as the Man of Steel. That's right, the Man of Steel. Oh, I should have put a black background on that. All right, that's on me. That's on me. Well, you can see the edges of our bodies there. But anyway, you should be focusing on the abs of that guy right there, Henry Cavill. This is coming to us from Deadline, and it's an exclusive from Deadline. They said that Henry Cavill is coming back to reprise his role as Superman for the Snyder Cut version of Justice League that they're working on. It's going to come out on HBO Max tomorrow. I'm sorry, not tomorrow, next year rather, in 2021. They say they're not sure how he's coming back. They're saying in a couple of different ways, though not in a standalone film. There are no plans to put him back in the red cape again, to have him do a Man of Steel sequel. Wonder Woman 1984 is done being shot. Suicide Squad is done being shot, so don't expect to see him in any of those movies. But there is a rumor that there is a story that he's coming back in some version here. Remember, he made a surprise appearance during that watch party for Man of Steel, and then they announced the Snyder Cut. So it was kind of understood that Cavill wouldn't have shown up on that thing if he didn't have some kind of, if there wasn't some kind of possibility of him coming back to the project in some form. But Justin Kroll over at Variety, he tweeted a further thing, said Cavill's return is only a cameo and would likely have him appearing in a film where he has previous ties with the title character like Aquaman or Shazam. Sources say not for Black Adam or Wonder Woman. New Man of Steel film still way off, with no certainty that Henry would return to star. So my reaction to this is one of deep and utter frustration, because I do not understand. And I want to hear your thoughts on this, Alex. I do not understand why Warner Brothers is so averse to having Henry Cavill come back and do a Man of Steel 2. Have they been doing some kind of polling, some kind of survey with people that we have no concept of or no clue about, that are telling them they're not happy with Henry Cavill as Superman, as the Man of Steel? I just don't understand why they're so averse to this. So let me hear your thoughts. A, are you excited he's coming back? And B, why are we not getting a Man of Steel sequel?
I feel like the whole idea of having a Man of Steel sequel is an entirely different conversation. I want that movie so bad. I am one of the people that I don't love Man of Steel, but by golly, I really enjoy it. And I really enjoy it. Also, as a 90s kid myself, at the end of the day, Henry Cavill's my personal first Superman on screen. Oh, yeah. And so, kind of growing up with it, he's the only real Superman I've personally I don't like to say bonded with. That sounds like a weird thing to say. But he's the first Superman where I watched and I was like, oh, wow. And that kind of forced me to kind of check out other things within the, DC universe, animated and non, etc. But it is, I agree, it is incredibly frustrating, especially when it happened. I like a few months ago, or it feels like forever ago, where, right. Cavill and his manager, I can't remember her name, was actively campaigning to obviously continue still being in, the DCEU, but at the same time, they were like, no, you're asking for too much money. And Superman is he's not the most bankable star right now. Henry Cavill individually, sure, he is Superman, but, people don't go to see Superman because of Henry Cavill, specifically Superman. It's because Henry Cavill, it's because it's Superman. It's not because of Henry Cavill per se, No, I don't feel like that same argument can be made for someone like, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, being Black Adam. I feel like it's an entirely different conversation again. But I just want more Superman. Seeing just cameos is so frustrating. I want him back in it, not only in just like a more in-depth roles, obviously, with if we were going to eventually, who knows, get in another cut of BVS or whatever it may be. I just want more Superman overall. And so the idea of having just cameos is frustrating.
I can understand that. Trust me. Absolutely. And that's the thing that I think a lot of people feel that way. I know Mark Riley and I would talk about it all the time on his shows and on my shows as well. The idea of a Superman, a Man of Steel sequel. It is so frustrating because we don't know who Warner Brothers is talking to or who Warner Brothers is communicating with. It is telling them over and over again not to have it. I don't think Cavill is coming in there with some insane salary demands because Cavill does not.
It's almost $20 million.
Yeah, possibly.
To me, that's like a really high number, supposedly. Now, I don't know how true that is. Maybe that's complete hearsay and people are exaggerating it. But
well, I mean, by the same token, maybe they're arguing that angle because they're like, look at the amount of shit we've taken or Henry has taken from your indecision about the situation. Look at the size of the backlash that has risen about him not getting a sequel to Man of Steel, but he deserves one. So it's a negotiating ploy. But I agree. I don't know if 20 million is necessarily where you need to start with Henry on this. I think a little bit lower is fine. The problem is I think Warner Brothers wants to move on from him. They don't know how to move on from him officially, and they don't know if they're ready for the backlash. Because look how they had to give in to the Justice League situation because of circumstances beyond their control, like COVID and everything else, just kind of made it possible to do this Justice League cut. But if you go forward with Superman, the question is now, well, who's the lead of the Justice League? Because right now, it really feels like they're trying to position Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman as the leader of the Justice League. And what is the situation here? If you get Henry Cavill to come in, does that cause issues as well? I don't know. Maybe they're looking at it that way.
I do understand the idea of if Henry Cavill and his team came forward initially saying 20 million, it's like almost like I don't want to compare it to buying a house, but you go in with this number knowing that you're going to bargain a little bit. And so maybe I start with 20 and then I get to 14 or 15, so that's what I was thinking it could be, because to me, that's a very doable number. And this is a very big property, a huge, and people have been rallying for him. I mean, us included, and so many legions of fans. And so it is very surprising to me that, in spite of having so much fan loyalty towards Cavill, in particular, Cavill's adaptation of Superman, that DCEU is not really staying loyal to him as an actor. But not only that, he's only improved. I mean, like his spotlight has definitely improved since, leaving. He's been part of The Witcher. I heard there's talks of a new Man from U.N.C.L.E. movie. There's a lot of talks about him in particular, definitely doing a lot better considering we're DCEU.
I know. That's the thing at the end of the day. It's like, well, this seems to be the right situation. They could put it together, but I think this almost feels like a sports situation where new people have come in charge of the team, like new people come in charge of Warner Bros. Over the last few years. That's how we've gotten Aquaman and Shazam and all these kind of positive stuff. Not Wonder Woman, but like everything that's come after that's been really positive for them financially, at least. And they're looking at the situation like, okay, well, do we want to keep the Man of Steel, the actor from that earlier time that other people hired? Or do we want to bring in a new director and have him or her choose the Superman that they want, the actor that they want to play Superman? That's probably what's happening here. They want to first decide who the director is going to be for their Superman, and then have that director be like, do you want Cavill or do you not want Cavill? Which we just saw play out with the Matt Reeves situation. Do you want Ben Affleck? Do you not want Ben Affleck? He didn't want Ben Affleck. He wanted a younger Ben Affleck. We get Pattinson. So I think this is what they're waiting on. Is honestly, it's just they've got to assign a director, and then is that director strong enough to go and take on Superman? And of course, the rumors are J.J. Abrams. So that's the massive rumor that J.J. is going to do Superman. And I personally would love to see a J.J. Abrams Superman. Oh, totally. But it's probably not going to be Cavill, though. Unfortunately, it seems like, right?
We can definitely not to mention though. I mean, like in a perfect world. In a perfect world. But something to also remember is that one of the, you may love or hate the DCEU, but something you cannot deny is absolutely phenomenal. But what Zack Snyder has done is casting. He's able to turn all these, actors, as far as, I mean, to me, outside of, Batfleck, everyone else was really unknown at the time. And he really casted the perfect actors. Gal Gadot is inspiring casting, same as, Jason Momoa as Aquaman. I'm like, at first everyone was like, what? No, but now everyone's like, we're all rallying behind the guy, and everyone else as well. And so, sure, there is drama with Ezra Miller and everything. We don't know what's going on with that, but at the same time, that's one of the that's arguably, depending on what side you are, it's one of the few really fantastic things about since everything is really kind of fruition with Zack Snyder's DCEU.
Yeah, agreed. Very, very good points. And some people are making great points in the chat as well, which I appreciate. Thank you all so much for chiming in. Over 130 you already watching us now. Please swing that cursor button, hit that like button on us, get us over 100 likes, get us to 150 likes as soon as we can. I have to always refresh here now on the YouTube studio. That's a new thing that they're doing now. You got to refresh to see what the current likes are. We're at 68. Come on, people, get us above 100. March that cursor button over, hit that like button. We got a couple of Streamlabs that came in, Alex. Let's roll through them real quick. Jay Scotty for real, he said the reports of Cavill's return to a role of Superman have consistently been coupled with doubt that a Man of Steel sequel is unlikely to happen, with the character being utilized not unlike the Hulk for the MCU. Is this the right play? Why the hesitation? I think we addressed that already, Jay Scotty. Hopefully we did that for you. But I think we covered the bases, and there might be focus groups that are not liking it, but there also might be, this idea that a director wants to come in and have their own say about who they want to have as Superman. So I don't think it's the right play because Cavill, as Alex pointed out, Cavill has so many people behind him, so many people in the fandom who want to see him come back for a Man of Steel sequel. So anything to add to that, Alex?
Just saying, Henry Cavill is such a strategic social media man.
He really is. Yeah.
The way he really, I don't want to say manipulated, but at the same time, the way he was like with the Superman action figure, I was like, I see you. I know what you're doing. Mm-hmm. And I'm digging it.
Yeah. I dig it too.
Yeah. So, but I mean, like, I just really want more of him. And he's such a great Superman. And again, regardless of how you feel about Man of Steel, you can't deny he's wonderful in the role.
Yeah.
We just need more. Yeah.
Daniel H donated. He said, "Hey John, first time donating to your channel." Oh, thank you, Daniel. That's very kind of you. He said, "I've seen you in the Schmodown and the other shows you're on. Just want to say your professional industry analysis is really spot on." Listen, that's actually a very kind compliment. Thank you. What do you think David Ayer's chances are for getting his own Ayer cut? Oh, good question, Daniel. I think David, obviously we saw some articles over the last couple of days. David was hesitant to push for it, was kind of like, yeah, it's cool. Let's see if people want it. But then he's kind of made this little mini turn where he started to be a little more vocal about seeing it. He's responding to fans. He's finally being open about the crap he took for what he called an Edward Scissorhands version of his film, which obviously implies it was cut up and the end result was not what he ultimately wanted. So he said that his version of the Suicide Squad is a lot easier to assemble than Zack Snyder's and a lot cheaper. So I think the possibility is growing just slightly and slowly. It is growing. And if they push back what they probably have in their heads, Warner Brothers, even though they're not saying or not releasing the details, the date for the release of Justice League, his Justice League, then I think that's where the David Ayer cut could slide right on in to that moment. If we get more and more delays, more production, we get a second wave even of the coronavirus situation, which some people are predicting, I think that's where the David Ayer cut absolutely is a possibility for him. So I say the possibility is increasing. I just think some things have to happen first before we get to see it on screen, on our TVs, on HBO Max. So what do you think, Alex?
I think I would love to see it happen. I just don't know how realistic it is. Yeah. So, I mean, like I mentioned, who knows? Maybe that'll be like a bonus thing if Warner Brothers is able to sell it to a streaming service or something along those lines at some point and be like, hey, for a cool 20, 30 million. But like you said, it could be a very easy, potentially very fast addition, for any streaming service, that, I know it wouldn't really, if it's not a streaming service that I don't have, it wouldn't give me incentive to join it just for that, movie. But at the same time, if it pops up on Amazon tomorrow, I'd be like, hell yeah, I'm watching it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, and you make a good point here, Alex. I know some people might be like, well, HBO Max, logically, well, no, because I went through HBO Max yesterday on my Xbox, and they don't have all the DC films. Man of Steel is not on HBO Max. Man of Steel is not. BVS is, but Man of Steel is not. So don't assume that just because there might be an air cut coming, it would automatically go to HBO Max. It might go to another streaming service. It might be. It's all about rights and contracts and legalese. All that stuff would be involved in that situation first.
It might go directly to the DC, streaming service. Just saying, which is really wonderful. I love that.
Yeah, and I'm mad they haven't folded that in. Everyone thought they were going to fold it in, or a lot of people predicted they would fold that into HBO Max, but they haven't yet. So it's very interesting. I wonder how that's going to go as the subscriber numbers increase. We'll see if DC Universe ends up finally transferring over to HBO Max. All right, Matthew Hannon said, I could not be more excited for Henry Cavill to come back. He's my favorite Superman. I love Man of Steel. I hope this actually leads to a Man of Steel 2. I'm cautiously optimistic. We'll see. Alex, it seems like if he does cameo and people like the cameo and the studio feels comfortable seeing him in the garb again, then maybe, but I don't know.
Yeah. Again, we can wish. I know. I'm sure most people in this chat, agree with us. If you click on the like button, if you actually think that Henry Cavill should be doing it again, just saying.
Yeah, good point.
But at the same time, I could understand DCE is going through a huge shift right now as far as like what kind of movies they want to make, how they really want to explore these individual characters, because Superman is such a hugely complex character. And like you said, if they want the directors to have much more creative control, like they did with Harley Quinn's character in Birds of Prey, Wonder Woman with Patty Jenkins, that's those directors having so much control over their characters and the movies as they did. It's arguably one of the main reasons why those movies were huge successes. And so they're probably wanting to apply that mindset towards not only picking a director, but how the director is going to be, possibly applying towards the Superman character. So it's a very careful process to make over the next little bit.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. Sweaty Ben Rayner said, I could see Superman showing up in Shazam too. Yeah, I could see that as well. I mean, because he did show up at the end, at least his logo did at the end of the first Shazam. So why wouldn't the possibility exist that he could show up in a cameo in Shazam too? What do you think, Alex?
Henry Cavill didn't show up in a cameo.
True.
Clarifying. Superman did-ish.
Right.
I just saw him like from here up. I mean, like here down. I mean, but that was one of my favorite scenes of Shazam. I can't wait for Shazam 2 whenever that happens. Hopefully.
Maybe we'll get the full body Cavill instead of just the logo. You're right. Michael Knipp, one last thing, and we'll jump on to our next story here. He said, sorry, it's a Streamlabs. He said, do you guys think production cost concerns are the main issue with these studios' willingness to go forward with Man of Steel 2 or the like? No, I don't think production cost is the issue here at all, because, I mean, they're obviously going to dump, as we reported on Wednesday, more than $30 million into the Snyder cut, and that's already been shot, but still they might be looking at way more. So I don't think it's a production cost issue. I think it's a matter of, do they want to keep going with Henry Cavill? Listen, it's like anything in life, right? You're willing to pay the price for someone you actually want to hang out with or actually want to do something with. You're willing to pay the price. But for someone you're not 100% on board with, you're hesitant about spending the money on that, right? It's logical. It's just logical overall. What do you think, Alex?
I totally agree. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't put my money on it if I wasn't super confident. Not to mention, I mean, there's so much of this back and forth between the actors, creators, and everything involved, as well as the studio. So, and it just creates a very gray situation, and no one likes that right now. Obviously, going into a movie when getting financing and everything. So.
I do want to address one thing real quick and move on. I know I just love this. King, my man Calvin over here, he chimed in. Calvin was the star of our show the other night on the Outlaw Nation show with Kate Mulligan. He took over the show for like 20 minutes. It was hilarious. But Cal says, I hate to be the asshole, but Cavill is not my Superman. Superman is not dark. I want to put...
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Alex. What were you going to say?
Well, I say that's completely justified. That makes complete sense. That's if he's not your Superman, that's totally fine. Whether it be Christopher Reeve or heck, I can remember the voice actor that he's done like 500 movies, DC movies. I can't remember.
Tim Daly, you mean? Tim Daly?
Yes. Oh my gosh, he's phenomenal as Superman. He's so funny. And I love all the shorts he does on YouTube, like how he loves it. But that makes complete sense. It's just a different interpretation of Superman, and the idea that he's not dark. Sure, in some versions he's not super dark, but in a lot of the comic books he is a very dark, again, very complex, very conflicted character. It's very similar to not Marvin, Martian Manhunter. He's like as far as he knows, he's the only one left of his kind. He's angry, he's frustrated, he's just some kid from Kansas that everyone low-key hates, kind of. So why wouldn't it be a very dark, kind of a conflicted character? So.
Well, and that's the thing. I don't actually see that movie as a dark movie at all. And I think that's why I wanted to put it up, Alex, because I wanted to address Calvin, because a lot of people feel like Calvin does as well. They just kind of like lump it into the dark thing. It's actually not dark at all. It's a very hopeful film. But what it is realistic. And I think some people think realistic equals dark. Our world can be quite, as we saw last night in the protests, everything. Our world can be quite dark when it needs to be. When we need a hero, right? And and sometimes becoming a hero is a difficult process because you have to really put yourself out there. And as we see on social media, even heroes are not immune to getting attacked or getting, their efforts denigrated by the other side or whatever. So you see that happening. So why wouldn't we make a Superman that was realistic to our world? And I think Henry Cavill's Superman is absolutely realistic to our world. He knows he has these powers, but his father is afraid of what's going to happen to him. He knows that they're going to see him as an other, as an alien, an illegal alien. He's afraid of what might happen to him. They'll put him in a box and probe him for the rest of their lives. And so there's a situation of there's a feeling like, well, what can you do here? And eventually he has to go on his own journey to understand what he wants to do for the world. And when he becomes that symbol of light, and he even says it means hope on his planet, the S, he puts it on his chest to say hope. That is not dark. So I just think that's the thing at the end of the day. And people take the snapping of the neck thing and they go, oh, that's dark. It's not dark. So I just, in my opinion, I think the film is a lot more about the light than it is about the dark, in my opinion. But anyway, that's just my 2 cents.
If that was if the movie was lighter, should he had kept Zod alive and hang out and go for coffee or go talk about their memories of Krypton? You'd be like, hey, I know you're not my dad, but can you tell me about Krypton? Like, what's up? Should that be the situation that should have happened?
That's what would have happened, right? He just found some handcuffs to put on him and put him away.
Oh my gosh, that was actually unfortunately when he had to kill Zod. It was one of my favorite scenes in the movie. I remember crying in the theater, like openly weeping, and I was like, my emotions. But it was just like one of those situations. Unfortunately, so it's a very you're right, absolutely. Depending on your outlook, it can be a very dark. Some moments are dark, some moments have incredible lightness, and it's wonderful. But overall, the movie I think it's just pretty darn fantastic.
Yeah, agreed. And I got emotional. I always get emotional when I hear his scream after he kills Zod, because
my gosh,
he is now officially the only last member of the planet by his own hand. And that's a hell of a weight to take on. Jerome Lynn said, just wanted to show some support. Keep up the great work. Oh, thanks, Jerome. It's very kind of you. All right, let's move on. We got almost 200 of you all already in here watching. Please swing that cursor button over. Hit that like. Give us some love up in here. Get us over 100 likes. I would love that. And I know Alex would love that as well. So give it some love. I would love that
so much. That'd be pretty darn dapper, y'all, if we were somehow able to get to 200.
Yeah, 200. Let's get it. All right, let's move on to Sonic the Hedgehog. That's the thing. The sequel is in the works now officially from Paramount, I think is what it is. Paramount Pictures and Sega Sammy. They confirmed it yesterday that they've commenced development on a sequel to the live action family comedy that did over 300 million worldwide. It opened with a really strong opening for a video game movie, and the sequel would reteam the filmmakers with Jeff Fowler directing and Pat Casey and Josh Miller writing the script. It's just still in the development stage for now, but this is the official announcement that it's happening. Neil H. Moritz Toby Asher and Toru Nakahara will be producing the pick. And of course, Ben Schwartz will probably be back as Sonic. And I'm put $1,000 or $1 million on the fact that Jim Carrey will be back as Dr. Robotnik. And of course, I'm sure James Marsden will be back as Tom. So I was a massive fan of this. I couldn't believe how much I enjoyed it. I went in there, was like, we'll see what it's like. And when I walked out, I was absolutely just thrilled at the results. And it was old school Jim Carrey back again, which we hadn't seen in 2 decades. It was so great to see Jim Carrey be funny in this film. And Ben Schwartz, who I've been a fan of since Parks and Recreation, it was great to see him get a little love for the voice of Sonic as well. James Marsden, low-key, one of my favorite guys. James is so good at being the a-hole, being the cuckolded husband, being the hero who can't get it done. Like, he's so great at playing all these kinds of roles, and he needs way more love in his career from people than they give him, because he could easily have been typecast in one thing, but he's cool. Like in Dead to Me right now on Netflix, it's so fun to watch him in that show. So I just enjoy his work overall. But anyway, this is great. Did you see this movie, Alex? Do you like this are you excited for a sequel for it?
Yeah, so I saw this movie for the first time several weeks ago. Two months ago. I'm not entirely sure what is time. I don't know. But at the same time, I really thoroughly enjoyed it. To me, it's like it felt like going into it's. Like you said, with we haven't seen this side of Jim Carrey in a very long time. So it's really cool for him to bring out the physical, comedy again, circa like Ace Ventura kind of thing, Liar, Liar. It was really cool to see. But overall, I really enjoyed it for sure. It wasn't my favorite movie. No, but by golly, it's in my top 5 video game adaptations. Heck yes.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to talk about it. But this movie is, I believe it's from Paramount Studio. This movie actually internationally made a little over 300 million, I want to say. It was like 305 or 306 million dollars. Internationally, domestically made 146 or so. But considering its budget had not even 60 million, those are really, really great numbers. So not to mention, this was also one of the first movies to really not only just pull out of theaters real quick, but they're like, you know what? Video on demand. Let's get that out as fast as we can. We don't have good reviews right now. And so, I was pleasantly surprised considering everything going on that this movie is getting a sequel so quickly. Yeah.
I mean, I remember going to see it and I walked out, I went up with a friend of mine who had already seen it. And he was like, trust me, you're going to enjoy this thing. And we sat and we just had a really great time with it. And afterwards I was like, oh, if this thing even remotely does well, there's no way they're not doing a sequel, because studios are always looking for those family franchises, right? That are fun and a little harmless. Then they can they deal with a little bit of the adult topics, but overall harmless. And Sonic was that. This idea of an alien creature that came in from another dimension, who is watching human beings and wanting to stay out of their way. He's so respectful, just wants to do his thing, wants to be left alone. And then, of course, he gets discovered. And when he gets discovered, how that all plays out and how he kind of has to figure out how to be a hero in this situation. And, of course, stop Dr. Robotnik. And Jim Carrey, such an interesting approach to that character of Dr. Robotnik, making him a likable, charming, but ultimately evil and genius, with funny moments and funny, playful things that didn't feel forced. They were very organic within the scene. So I really appreciated that. Yeah, maybe it wasn't everybody's cup of tea, but like Alex said, and I said earlier, it made over $300 million worldwide, so pretty good domestic numbers and decent, certainly for worldwide numbers for Sonic the Hedgehog. So hopefully now, if the sequel comes out, the numbers are even bigger because people are discovering it, as Alex said here, on demand, video on demand, and they're home. So why not try it out and entertain the kids with it? So hopefully a lot of people are coming aboard that way. So, yeah.
Well, not to mention, though, it's compared to a lot of other family films out there, it is comparatively so, it is a very cheap movie to make. I don't like saying 58 million is a cheap movie to make, but at the same time, compared to like things like the Minions movies, or anything, or Trolls or anything, those movies cost almost $80 million to make. So by comparison, this is relatively cheap. So not only that, it's just as profit. So its margins is looking really good. They're going to keep it not only the directors, but also the writer duos.
Right.
Jeff Fowler, I believe he directed it. The writers Pat Casey and Josh Miller, they're coming back to write it again. But there's no casting confirmations or anything. But a lot of people are going to come back. I mean, it's
what I'm saying.
Paycheck, and it's a fun time. Mm-hmm. No one's gonna get ostracized on social media because they partake in this movie. So it's a pretty good one.
Yeah, agreed. And we'll see. Then there was a Streamlab that came in through here from Andrew G. Said Sonic was fun, but do you think it would have done better if they had made a straight up animated film set in the wild worlds of the video game, or like the older animated TV series? I would have much preferred something like that over what we got. Well, I'll respond to that by saying that absolutely works because you're probably a Sonic the Hedgehog fan, but studios know that Sonic the Hedgehog people are going to come to this movie already. What they're trying to appeal to are the people who are not that familiar with the game, not that familiar with the character. So you make it accessible. Yeah, me too. You make it accessible. You make it right. You make it interesting, and you flesh out the world. If they had started on alternate worlds and all that kind of stuff, I think people would have tuned out on that 100%. So maybe now that they've established a foundation here in that first film, they can jump in, because it's teased at the end that Robotnik is in another dimension. So we're like, okay, now we have to explore other dimensions, other worlds. Now it's possible. So I think for me overall, they made the right decision, obviously financially, and I don't think an animated film would have made anywhere near the $300 million worldwide that this film did as a live action version. What do you think, Alex?
I totally agree with everything you're saying. But also alternatively, I do think if it was a full animated movie, taking place in that dimension, like you were saying, I think it would have done pretty well. Look at movies like Trolls again, or Trolls, or what was that one with the Scoob app? Not Scoob. The one.
Angry Birds.
Angry Birds. Yes. Look at those movies that were. I'm like, I don't know anything about these characters or these worlds or anything. That's but it doesn't. You can go into having that like foundational understanding, but at the same time, you don't need to know it in order to enjoy it. I mean, okay, I know Andrew G up in the chat is talking about Detective Pikachu. You don't need to know about Pokemon to enjoy that movie.
That's exactly.
Because that movie is wonderful. I don't care if you're a Pokemon fan or not. That's really fantastic. But I don't feel like you need to, as long as you have that much confidence in the writers, and the director, I think you can make a solid one either way.
Yeah, I agree.
Who knows? Maybe that'll be more towards the next one. We'll get significantly more focus on that world.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you there. All right, well, thank you all again for watching. We're over 200 of you all watching us live. Got here so fast. I had a feeling we would. It's a Friday. People want to relax and have some fun with us. Got only 126 likes, though. Please swing that cursor button over. Get us over 150 likes as soon as possible. Get us to 200 likes before the end of the show. I'd love that. As Jake just said there, please don't forget that thumbs up button, share, and subscribe if you haven't, for sure. All right, let's see our last thing for the first block of our stories here, and that is Cobra Kai. Hi, Cobra Kai. So it is coming. Season 3 is already finished. Post-production is done. It's in the can. It's ready to go. And this has been kind of consuming social media a little bit for the last 2 weeks for Cobra Kai fans. This idea of where is a season 3? Why is it not on my YouTube? Why is it not on my computer? Why is it not on my device for me to watch? And the reason is because this is an exclusive that I think Deadline was reporting here, that it is moving to a new streaming platform for its 3rd season. The Google-owned online video service is in the process of releasing season 3 of the popular show to producing studio Sony Pictures TV, and then Sony is going to shop it around. And the reason this is happening is because YouTube is walking away from its premium original scripted programming. Clearly, there wasn't enough interest in what they were doing financially or subscribers. It's $10 a month for that service to warrant them continuing down this path. This wasn't the only one. I think there was another one. Liza on Demand was also one of their original scripted shows, and they canceled every single one of those except for Cobra Kai and Liza on Demand, because Liza on Demand is a strong YouTube personality. So as YouTube makes this shift, they're going to have to sell sell the series to another platform. According to Deadline, they are going to look at Netflix and possibly Hulu as well. And there might be even a couple others. With these things, there's always someone rolling up right behind who might be coming in to take this thing. So this, first of all, I'm excited there's a season 3 finished and ready to drop at any moment. And I like the idea, to be honest with you, of them going to Netflix. And when it came out in the first season, it felt like a Netflix show already. So the fact that it might go to Netflix, I think, is positive as well. And also with all these studios opening their own streaming services and taking content from Netflix, I think Netflix is looking to bring in stuff that's going to already have a built-in fan base and guarantee views. So I think Cobra Kai is absolutely a brilliant move for Netflix if they get the deal done here. If Sony and Netflix can get the deal done, I'd like to see it there. Hulu, I don't think that's where it should go. I see Hulu as a lesser streaming platform than Netflix. So what do you think, Alex? Where would you like to see it?
First, that just hurts my soul, and how dare you? But whatever.
All right.
But, yeah, I can definitely see it. I feel bad. I haven't seen the show before.
Oh wow!
It's definitely been been on my radar for a long time, but I just can't justify paying for another streaming service. I have both Netflix and Hulu. Right. Obviously, based on my reaction, but it's just like another $10. I just don't want to do it. And not to mention, I really do also enjoy the Karate Kid, franchise overall. Can't forget. I mean, so many people are in it. Hilary Swank, what's up? A little surprise in there, but at the same time, I never really caught on to it. So maybe that's something I really, really need to do. Like when you say visually, it feels like a Netflix show. But the thing is, I can also understand what you mean already going into it, just because from, production costs, it looks, it's really great production, but also it feels kind of more like a coming of age, but at the same time, still very adult, but at the same time, family oriented show at the same time, kind of mixing a lot of those themes. So I can, that I feel like aligns with, Netflix in a nutshell for sure. I'm really surprised when I read this article, though. I was really kind of curious, though, as far as like, how is the YouTube streaming service doing? Honestly, if it's selling one of its only real money making shows, like scripted money making shows, like I said, Liz is the only other ones that's actually bankable. It's actually one that's was being brought back essentially, but all other shows and scripted shows were canceled. Since YouTube started streaming service. So it's really confusing to me how they decided to go with this. Are they that desperate for money? Are they that desperate to like move it in a different direction? Or maybe they decided, hey, we just don't want to focus a lot of our financials and invest in this show anymore. We want to focus and shift it towards more of our unscripted shows in the future. So they have a lot of things going on, a lot of decisions.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the number one thing you have to look at is like, where's the best place to put this thing? And I think YouTube took a look at their own financial analytics, and they saw that the scripted programming was not getting as much attention as their other stuff was. And, they're dropping a bunch of new shows here that are all kind of either hosted game shows or reality shows. Celebrity Substitute, the creator games presented by Mr. Beast, Stayed Home with Youngblood, hashtag Move With Me, hashtag Stream With Me, The Secret Life of Lele Pons, BookTube, Read With Me, Lockdown, Untitled Juanpa and Luisito Project, and Create Together, hashtag With Me. So those are all, like probably way easier to make, way cheaper to make. So they're not breaking the bank. And just like we saw this happen in on a lot of networks after the writers' strike in the mid 90s, like all of a sudden the scripted programming kind of took a backseat to reality TV. And that became the explosion of reality TV, which is still very much in our lives. And so YouTube, I guess, had to go on their own path with this, try to establish themselves a little bit with scripted programming, because essentially every YouTube channel is a reality show. So they were trying to kind of walk away from that. But now they realize if they produce these reality shows on YouTube, they're getting better bang for their buck in that way. So, I'm just happy that they're supportive of Cobra Kai. They gave it a platform when, because was it Josh Heald and John Hurwitz and Hayden Schlossberg? They were shopping this thing around to a lot of other streaming services that did not say yes to it. So at least YouTube gave it a chance, and it blew up. The first episode got 55 million views on YouTube, and it ranks as the 6th most Google search TV show in 2018. Cobra Kai was. So that it tells you that it's got some push behind it. People loved season 2 as well, got high numbers there. So this overall, I'm just happy that finally we're getting a little bit of news about when we might be, that it's in motion to be dropped at some point on a streaming service, hopefully soon. So there you go.
It is. I have to say, in spite of like the show being on YouTube, being on YouTube Premium and everything, it is. I'm not gonna lie. It's one of the only shows my dad messaged me and be like, "Have you heard of this show?"
Yeah.
And I was like, because I'm like, if he's gonna message me, I'm like, okay, he's gonna like talk to me about Jack Reacher or something, or he's gonna talk about some of these Amazon shows where it's like a spy thriller kind of thing. That's what he's like. But I remember him messaged me out of nowhere. He's like, "Have you heard of this show called Cobra Kai? It's on YouTube. Can you help me out?" And I was like, "What is happening?" So obviously, it is immensely popular. I do know a lot of people that love it. It's a very beloved show, and I am so excited for it potentially. Whenever it finally does happen and season 3 does drop, because it is done. It is all wrapped up. Yeah. It just needs to be put out there, and if it is like easier, like I mentioned, I just can't justify, price wise just to pay for another streaming service. That's much. I'm not really into reality shows personally. So if it hops on Hulu or Netflix or wherever it may be, I would be super psyched. Maybe I'll just marathon the heck out of it. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, it almost also fits into the Amazon Prime thing. When you think about The Boys, I could totally see Cobra Kai, because The Boys is a bit of a spin on the idea of superheroes. Cobra Kai is the spin on that first series, those first 3 films there that the Karate Kid series did. So I don't know. There's possibilities overall. But anyway, all right. Well, we'll see. We'll see. I'm sure the announcements will be coming soon. Jeff Snyder also wrote this up on Collider. He gave his thoughts if you want to go and read his stuff. I love Jeff to pieces. So all right, let's take a break here and plug some stuff. What do you got going on, Alex?
Oh, we have so much stuff going on over at C2A. Oh my gosh, guys, you should totally come and hang out over at Call to Action. Okay, so I'm just going to put on my admin voice when I say that.
Please.
I'm sorry, so ridiculous. So on Schmobates, I host Schmobates every single Wednesday, and I'm so excited for it. I'm doing a tournament of champions. I'm super psyched because we just finished match 2, and next week I'm going to be having on Billy Belford, who's sitting at 3 wins and 0 losses.
Wow.
Going up against William Bibiani, the beast himself. Oh my gosh, guys, that's gonna be so good. I can't wait. It's gonna be next Wednesday over at the Call to Action podcast that I am one of the hosts of. So please do it. Jake, my dude, he is one of the most best people I know. He's also involved with it. It's a real fun time. But we do it every single Wednesday at 9:30 Central, and we do it live. So it's a lot of live voting. As one of the hosts, I don't vote. I'm not one of the judges. I just help moderate everything. But at the same time, the people that are watching it live, you guys determine who's going to walk away with the win, who's going to walk on to the second round. So it's pretty important to be able to participate in that way. But also, not only that, we do a whole bunch of stuff on that channel overall. So please go check it out.
There you go. Anything else? You guys just did the Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon on Cinema Bias. So go and take a look at that.
Cinema Bias is on Tuesdays, the Tuesday evenings at 10 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Pacific. It's a real fun time where every week we dive into a movie that one of us loves and the other one hasn't seen. We just really kind of talk about our personal biases when it comes to movie. John, what are some of your biases?
What do you mean?
You're a showdown. I feel like you've seen every genre and every stuff. But did you have any biases towards or against certain genres or directors or anything growing up? From maybe your parents put upon you as a kid, where you're like, hey, don't watch this genre, or hey, go towards that genre, or whatever.
Well, I'll always say I was never a horror person growing up. It just wasn't my thing. I would go see them. I would go see them occasionally. The horror genre, I would go see them. Of course, the the Nightmare on Elm Street series. I certainly saw almost all of those in the theaters growing up.
Of course.
The Halloween series, sure. But I wasn't a Friday the 13th person. I didn't like the slasher stuff. I've never seen Rosemary's Baby. So yeah, there are certain horror films that I just don't run to go see. So that's the one genre that I think I have a hesitation about, but it's probably the only genre.
Rosemary's Baby?
No, I never have.
Oh my gosh.
One of those blind spots.
And really talk about Rosemary's Baby.
Okay.
Some feminist horror. Yes. Oh my gosh. I have to talk to Drew. I'm going to talk to her later today.
Feel free. We had a nice text exchange the other day, Drew and I. She's like, I miss you. I'm like, happy birthday. She's like, thank you. I'm like, everything's well.
She doesn't know how to talk softly.
No, and I love that about her.
Everything she says is in caps locks. And I'm not exaggerating. For the guys, everyone in the chat, I'm not exaggerating that she's like one of the people that aggressively loves. Yeah. And it shows in her caps locks and texts and messages.
Yep. You know exactly where you stand with Drew at all times for sure. And anything knows exactly where it stands with Drew at all times for sure. Well, that's the plugs for Alex. My plug here is, of course, the Outlaw Nation channel. Please subscribe down below. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button. Give us some love. Also on this show, hit that thumbs up button, that like button. That's the same thing. The thumbs up button is the like button. Go and hit that thumbs up button. Get us over to 200 likes. We're already past 150. Thank you so much. So let's get up to 200. Have ourselves a really good show because those things really help. And leave comments. If you've hesitated leaving comments on the actual show, if you're watching us after we've done it live, please leave comments down below. The more comments you leave, the more likes you leave, it kind of raises the attention of this show and this channel and helps with the YouTube algorithm on this channel as well. So please do that. Got a lot of stuff we dropped all this week. You know, we had Game Time, the sports show with me and Winston and Jay Washington. That was on Monday. Trust me, you got to watch that one. It's insane. I had a couple other mornings with the Outlaws already with me and Alex this week. That was a lot of fun. Today, I've got a live episode of Strong Style, the wrestling show. We had to push it from Wednesday to Friday, and we might put its new home might be on Friday live with me and Aaron Turner talking about Ricky the Dragon Steamboat versus Ric Flair from Chi-Town Rumble in '89. And we're also addressing a number of news items that dropped this week and discussing the tributes for Hana Kimura, the young 22-year-old wrestler who committed suicide after being cyber bullied. And we're going to address what Mauro Ranallo said about that as well on the show and talk about AEW Double or Nothing and Mike Tyson being involved in that pay-per-view as well. That's today at 1:15 live on the Outlaw Nation channel. Also, Geek Buddies dropped yesterday. That is up there for you to listen, for you to watch on the Outlaw Nation channel and listen on its separate feed. But we dropped a little snippet. I'll drop it a little bit later. We put it on the Outlaw Nation channel. We compared streaming services to first dates for about 2 or 3 minutes. What would a first date with HBOMax be like? What would a first date be with Hulu, with Amazon Pro? What's that?
First date with HBOMax would be super hot.
It would be hot, but then
it's making some hot moves. You know, right
and
now.
then it might fizzle out a little later, and you're like, well, why did I even do this? You know, so I don't know.
It's HBOMax is definitely seducing me with all these Studio Ghibli movies and all these classic movies from TCM. I'm like, yo, HBOMax.
Yeah. I respect that. Yeah. So we talk about it's like a 3-minute clip, but I thought it was one of the funniest conversations we've had on the show. So I clipped it out separately. And Christian's been the one that's been on my ass constantly. He's like, you need to clip out segments from your show. People will like that. They may not like watch the whole show, but at least they'll watch the segment. So I'm going to do better on that. But anyway, all of that's out there. And also subscribe to me at The Rocha Says there on all the social media. All right. That's enough blah, blah, blah for me. Oh, Twitch. The Outlaw Nation, one word, lowercase, go and follow. All right, let's jump into the second half of our show here, Alex. But first, we had a Streamlab that came through I think we should address real quick. D-Train, he donated, he said, Regal Cinemas is looking like they're going to reopen by July. Could AMC be next? What do you think, Alex?
I wonder what makes him think that. I'm kind of curious. I don't know if they are. I mean, I'm really curious because I living here in St. Louis, we do have a handful of Regal Cinemas, so I'd be really curious about that. And they do some more of the indie movie kind of situation, so that'd be something I'd be really personally curious about. But at the same time, I'm really how are theaters trying to going to gain the confidence of people? You know, because like I mentioned, as someone that's not super comfortable seeing Tenet in a theater in July or whenever it does come out, I'm just like, it's like I want to see it, but do I need to see in theaters right away to be like the first movie I see going back to the theaters? No. So if it was like the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League, that's a whole other situation.
Right.
But but also like I mentioned, I would love to see if AMC or Regal Cinemas or whatever it may be, or ArcLight Cinemas, if they're going to be putting out a memo or something like that saying, hey, these are A, B, and C, D. These are all the precautions we're doing to make sure you as a customer, as a client, are satisfied, feel safe and comfortable in the theater environment, because obviously, this is a very difficult time, for everyone right now. And, we do want that time to escape and go into a theater. And I don't know if whenever we do go to a theater, am I going to get a hot dog with some popcorn? I don't know. Am I going to get my little candies? We'll see. But I really want them to, I want to get under some understanding on how they're kind of prepping officially appropriately for people like us.
Well, I think, and I think we're going to see it, Alex, because on May 26th, they tweeted out on Twitter, the Regal Cinemas official account did. It said, we have not made a decision to when to reopen. We continue to work with authorities and studios in order to host our audiences and show them the big blockbusters in a safe environment. As soon as we have an opening date, we will share. Now, that was on May 26th, but yesterday or last night, they released a statement saying that Cineworld announced that subject to restrictions being lifted, and Cineworld is the owner of the movie theater chain Regal Cinemas. They said that with subject to restrictions being lifted and, quote, confirmation of the schedule for film releases, Cineworld anticipates the reopening of all its cinemas in July. Then they added, Cineworld has put in place procedures to ensure a safe and enjoyable cinema experience for its employees and customers. So that's officially from Cineworld, the owner of Regal Cinemas, saying they're anticipating opening their theaters in July. So, and we know that that Russell Crowe film, I can't remember the name of it right now, that's coming out on July 1st. And then, of course, Tenet's supposed to come out on July 17th and Mulan on July 24th. So it seems like we're in motion here. What's that?
Maybe Mulan is a movie that I see in theaters. That would be something I feel like I need to see in theaters.
Yeah, is that the one that would get you there?
That might be the movie that gets me back into theaters.
That's totally fair. But I mean, like, this seems to be the motion. We see a lot of states are starting to slowly reopen their stuff. Governor Newsom said the retail stores can open if they want to open, but of course they have to adhere to all the rules with the masks and everything like that. So these retail stores are starting to slowly reopen. So we shall see how it goes along, and then we'll see what AMC's reaction is to all of this, because Regal, I think, is obviously operating at a smaller level than AMC, but still these Regal Cinemas can be a little more controlled. We'll see how AMC, which is blockbuster, like 20 theaters, that's a whole nother animal than like a 7 theater situation. So we'll see, but it seems like Regal Cinemas are on track right now to open, barring a second wave of this coronavirus. Yeah.
Do you think, because I think, Ben Wellington, Ben, my dude, in the chat, that's kind of mentioning, we should have possibly like children only screenings or something like that. I don't think that would happen, to be completely honest, because no one's going to leave their child in a theater themselves, forever many a time. Unfortunately, but at the same time, I'd be kind of curious to see if if theaters will start implementing, we're going to do screenings for people 65 and older during this. Yeah. Or,
that's possible.
Or this is going to be certain times, a certain screenings is going to be for this group of people or whatever it may be. So I am kind of curious to see if that might be one of the things they would start implementing. Like a lot of grocery stores out by me, are even saying, hey, this time is specifically for people of a certain age so they can do it in a safe way. So we'll see.
Yeah, that's certainly possible. We'll keep a tabs on this, I'm sure, as this story develops, and we hear from AMC at some point, hopefully soon, about what they're going to do themselves. So we'll see. All right, let's jump into our next thing, and that is Upgrade. Upgrade is getting a TV series. That's right. That Lee Winnell film that so many of us low key enjoyed. It didn't explode at the box office, but certainly did well at the box office. What's that?
Everyone loved that movie. I don't know
Yes.
anyone that just low key loved it. It was like liked it. Everyone loved that movie.
Yes,
that was like
fair.
the talk of the year.
I just mean low key in the fact that it didn't make like $500 million. It was certainly one of those.
Oh my gosh.
But people loved it. That's for sure. Absolutely agree with you there. I certainly loved it. I remember I stepped out halfway through the film. They were screening it at the Egyptian, and I went to go take go to the bathroom real quick, take a piss. And when I was walking out, Lee Winnell was there, and I looked at him and I said, "You've made a hell of a film." And he was just like, "Oh my God, thank you." It's just, I'm so nervous because it was one of his first directorial efforts. So I saw him pacing back and forth in front of the refreshment things. And I felt like I needed to say something. And so he received it really well.
I can't imagine the pressure for putting out.
Oh, sure.
Like this.
Right.
Be such a, okay. Yeah. But we'll chat. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No worries. No worries. But the series is being co-created and executive produced by Winnell and Tim Walsh, who is currently show running Treadstone. And Winnell, of course, is coming off Invisible Man, which is fantastic. By the way, I just got something from the studio. I'm going to do an unboxing for Invisible Man a little bit later on the channel. But yeah, that is an incredible film. 91% on Rotten Tomatoes. It really should be 100%. That film is so damn good. But Blumhouse Television and UCP are collaborating on the adaptation. They already have a writer's room. The series picks up a few years after the events of the film and broadens the universe with an evolved version of STEM. Remember, STEM was the thing that was placed in his body, and a new host, imagining a world in which the government repurposes STEM to help curb criminal activity. They've already been breaking stories and writing scripts for the first season in the writer's room. Writer-producers Crystal Ziv Houghton and James Rowland, who ran the second season of the horror series The Purge, are involved as well. Jason Blum and Brian Kavanaugh-Jones of Automatic will executive produce it, and it's a co-production between Blumhouse Television and UCP, a division of NBC Universal Content Studios. And remember, is this Lee Winnell's first his TV debut? He's going to be directing. He's going to be directing. I don't know if he's going to direct all the series, but he's certainly going to direct some of the episodes in this series. So overall, I think this is fantastic, and I'm excited. And we've seen other things kind of come over from film into TV and do well, actually. So what's your feeling on this one, Alex?
This makes me pretty darn ecstatic to hear. This very small story, this Blumhouse sci-fi horror movie being turned into a TV show. On one hand, the product itself that they're using, going with Upgrade, is fantastic. I love this choice because, this introduction into this kind of crazy Venom movie world kind of thing. Low key, it's actually the superior Venom film. I understand that's like one of the big arguments. But at the same time, I really am excited for it. A lot of the original creators are involved. Lee Winnell is, obviously he's not only did Upgrade, but he's also the scriptwriter for, most recently, the hugely popular An Invisible Man. So we can't forget that. The Mule, Insidious. So obviously he's comfortable not only writing, that sci-fi element in that kind of in the future, but also a lot of aspects of horror. So I'm really excited to see him not only direct, like you said, episodes, but also possibly write as much as he can. I just want him to write so much because I'm so confident in him as a writer overall. Yeah. I am kind of, I don't want to say curious. Well, I scratch that. I am curious, but I'm hesitant about the idea that, obviously I love the idea it's obviously from Blumhouse, but at the same time, some of the production teams involved, with the Purge TV show, that show wasn't super well received. It was canceled after only, unfortunately, 2 seasons, which is unfortunate because I thought it was a pretty great show. I only saw a handful of episodes, but what I saw, I really did enjoy.
Yeah.
But so that kind of makes me nervous going into it, because I wouldn't want people to look at this and be like, oh, it's a cheap Blumhouse, TV, like movie TV show. So why bother? I don't want people to go into it knowing that mindset. What I want people to go into it, even if they haven't seen the, original movie, I would love for them going into it. For someone like my dad that randomly messaged me about Cobra Kai, he would love this. Yeah. For someone like him to go into a movie like this, watching it and thinking, oh my gosh, not only is the world building fantastic, but this story, this originally small story, can be applied on so many big, character arches. So I'm excited to see, applied for sure.
Well, I mean, the concerns you have if people will give it a chance or if it might come out not being as strong as the movie itself, having Leigh Whannell involved from the beginning, having him be in charge of the writer's room, having him direct the episodes, I think overall, and I don't know if he's going to direct all the episodes. They just said he's going to direct. So, but I dollars to donuts, he'll direct the pilot for damn sure. And then from there, we'll see how many episodes he directs. But having Leigh Whannell involved from the ground up in something like this is essential. And I think it makes it already, you can think that you already can believe that it's not going to be one of these lesser offerings that come out of a movie. I think Leigh Whannell is going to get this thing in tip-top shape. It's such a fantastic film. You can tell he loved making it, and he cherishes the world of Upgrade. And I love the fact that they're going forward with a new character. And if you haven't seen the movie, no spoilers, but basically they have to. So that's a smart decision as well. Now it comes to who do they cast, who's going to be involved in it, what are they going to get TV veterans who do like USA, TNT, TBS shows, or are they going to go outside and try to bring in, like we just saw with Cate Blanchett on that show and Ms. America, are they going to bring someone like that in, and Rose Byrne, both of them coming on to that show? Will it be something like that? So we'll see as we get closer to this actually becoming a possibility, who they start looking at for casting. But overall, I'm excited for this because, you know, Alex, you and I both know this after having watched movies for quite some time now. When you find those little gems, those little jewels, you like, oh, you love them so much because they're so interesting and unusual and unique and different. And yeah, they're not going to make $500 million at the box office, but they're worth taking care of and they're worth being beloved. So you don't want to see it transferred over into another medium and have it lose some of its luster. So I hope this is something that's not the case with this situation.
Well, that's something I am not going to lie. As much as I'm excited for it, I am also kind of scared for it at the same time, because one of the really great things about this movie is that it's a small story. It's a very small story, very few characters, even though it's wonderfully told and how they kind of go about it. Yeah. And very tight shots. Oh my gosh. The fight scenes are so.
Oh, the fight scenes.
Oh my gosh.
That's anxiety inducing. That.
Oh my gosh. It's like, you can't breathe. It's like watching Atomic Blood. Like, anyway, but that's one of the big appeals of it, being it's such a tight, wonderful story. Yeah. And, you're really able to kind of really build these relationships with these characters in between STEM and everyone. But also if, like you said, sometimes it's successful, other times it's not. If you expand on it where it gets almost too big, where you create these huge characters, where you're going to go into it with a lot more, like almost overreach it, then it kind of overdoes it and becomes really convoluted. So it's not nearly as enjoyable sometimes. So I do hope they kind of stick to that tighter story for sure.
Yeah, agreed. I like this comment from Michael Knipp. He said, I love it when the show creator directs every episode like Alex Garland did with Devs. Yeah, absolutely. So hopefully Leigh Whannell has the time to do that, because he's also signed a bunch of like first look production deals, or a couple of them. So he's going to be busy, certainly doing a lot of things. So we shall see. We shall see.
Well, alternatively, if you want to go into really great content creators that end up doing it, I mean, look at Taika Waititi and Jermaine Clement from The Shadows.
Right.
Obviously they're not directing every single episode, but they have a firm creative hand involving that show start to finish as producers, some occasional directors and everything as well. So it definitely, there is potential to be there, but not everyone has the time, unfortunately. So
agreed. Well, I just mentioned Cate Blanchett and Ms. America, so she's the subject of our next story, and that is she has officially come on to the Borderlands project. This was a rumor back in May, but Lionsgate has now officially confirmed that Cate Blanchett has joined the movie. She will be playing Lilith, and this is her kind of reuniting with Eli Roth, who directed her in The House with a Clock in Its Walls, which Roth did for Lionsgate as well, and with Jack Black in that thing. They released a press release, and here it is. Global content leader Lionsgate today announced that two-time Academy Award winner Cate Blanchett has closed a deal to star in director Eli Roth's adaptation of Borderlands. Nathan Kahane, president of the Lionsgate Motion Picture Group, and Aaron Westerman, president of Motion Picture Production for the studio, made the announcement today. And remember, House with a Clock in its Walls opened at number 1 when it dropped. So this is such here we go. Cate Blanchett making some interesting decisions in this stage of her career. She was when she first came out, she had more of the independent films, a couple of foreign films, because obviously I think she's Australian, so some of those films, and then now obviously doing Thor Ragnarok, doing Ms. America, now doing these kind of interesting projects that push the boundaries of what she can do here and what she can showcase from her talent. Jumping into something like Borderlands, I would have never thought that this was possible. And then with Eli Roth as well, and he had a comment about this, and he said, "I'm so lucky to have the amazing Cate Blanchett starring in Borderlands. We had the most incredible collaboration together on The House with a Clock in its Walls, and I believe there's nothing she can't do. From drama to comedy and now action, Cate makes every scene sing. Working with her is truly a director's dream come true, and I feel so fortunate that I get to do it again on an even bigger scale. Everyone brings their A game to work with Cate, and I know together we're going to create another iconic character in her already storied career." All right, Alex, Borderlands, are you familiar with it? And B, are you excited that that Cate Blanchett is coming in to play Lilith?
I have not played the game. I'm not going to lie. I don't play games, but I actually watched my husband actually play a bunch of games. I just would be on my phone or I'd be on the computer, and I would just watch him play. But there are a bunch of games I do feel like definitely deserve, the movie treatment as well. But this makes me super excited. Now, I know when it comes to video game movies, sometimes they don't always translate well. Assassin's Creed.
Oh, wow.
But this movie in particular, it's wonderful. I mean, Borderlands is also really great. Has a really wonderful narrative story. Visually speaking, it's really fantastic. So I'm really kind of curious how they're going to really put it to film. The Eli Roth, I think again, I hate to say it, but I keep reaffirming it, but I feel like that is inspired casting. Whoever decided, hey, Eli Roth Borderland, yes. Yes. He's a weird director. He likes weird horror movies. He likes sci-fi, and not to mention I feel like he's really almost I want to say he's kind of found his kind of niche doing these kind of weird movies, aspects of world building, possibly coming of age, with a slight horror thriller element and everything. So I think this is 100% right in its wheelhouse. It's an immensely popular game, has sold almost 60 million units worldwide. So to say it's a popular video game, it's put it mildly. Overall, this is coming from Lionsgate, and Lionsgate is putting out with a whole bunch of really interesting movie choices. Obviously not just the Hunger Games franchise, but they recently they put together the Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist. So obviously, to your white people, Knives Out from last year, Bombshell. So they're definitely getting creative as far as where they should invest their money. And this movie in particular, I'm excited to see what they want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And for those who are not familiar with Borderlands, here's a quick synopsis of it. It's an open world first-person shooter with a sci-fi Western setting. It follows a group of vault hunters who trek to the planet Pandora in search of an alien vault containing coveted alien technology, battling wildfire and raiders of all types along the way. All the while, the group must prevent a corporate army from reaching the vaults before they do. There were 4 sequels of this that came afterward, and there was even a spin-off. So it is one of the best video game franchises of all time. A lot of people were maybe when her name was being floated around. By the way, we're getting all of this from Variety. I want to make sure we give them credit. But when this was all being floated about as a rumor in May, a lot of people felt that she had aged out of the role, but looks like she didn't, because she is going to play Lilith, a siren and legendary thief equipped with magical skills. So
how old is she supposed to be? Her character?
She's probably supposed to be in her 20s, maybe in her late 20s, if that. And so, Cate Blanchett certainly not. And so, and no offense, Cate Blanchett, it's age.
I'm just going to take very offense to that. Yeah. I'm going to look so 20-ish. in a not a weird way. John Rocha, I'm gonna come at you, boy.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying, look, but yeah, so but I love this idea, and I wonder, and this kind of puts a little like more seriousness to this adaptation as well, right? You get a 2-time Academy Award winner, Cate Blanchett, for The Aviator and Blue Jasmine. You put her into this movie, and already your movie feels like it's operating from a different level than most of these video game adaptation movies. And a sci-fi Western setting, of course, it automatically attracts me. And this may be one of these games that I go and play on Twitch. I've never played Borderlands, so it might be fun to kind of explore that because it's a Western setting. So that's how you talk me into doing anything. You just put Western in it, and I'm in it. So there we go.
Well, I know some people have like mentioned it in the chat. With the she's like 30-ish years old.
Okay, 30-ish. Okay.
Her, but also at the same time, I don't feel like it would be I don't think it's an issue at all. Like considering her age, sure, she's not a spring chicken or whatever.
I like this.
But at the same time, I think, I think she's going to be able to portray the confidence, the ambition, and the ruthlessness of her character. Because like you said, she's a siren, she's a thief, she's confident in her skills. And so I'm really and not to mention, I love her in almost kind of like a potentially villainous maybe role. I love an evil Cate Blanchett. I'm so here for that.
Oh yeah.
I mean, do we need to talk about Cinderella some more? I mean, wonderful.
What's another one I haven't watched? But yes, absolutely.
You're killing me, Smalls. Rocha, I thought you were the Schmodown competitor in this situation.
I remember missing a question. Maybe it was in the Manager Bowl or something where I didn't know that it was Cate Blanchett, so I had to eat crow for that one. That's for sure. But yeah, I mean that's
she's really good, though.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I look forward to seeing what she can do with this thing and if she can bring it home. But I like the fact that they're going in this direction with someone like Cate Blanchett. I remember as Hera, I mean, she was scary, she was powerful, she was strong, she was sexy, and all of that combined. I mean, bringing that kind of element to this character of Lilith will be very interesting once they kind of flesh out the rest of the cast and get going on this thing. So we shall see.
Sexy, indeed.
Yeah, we shall see for sure. Checking real quick, see if any more Streamlabs or Super Chats have come through. We're going to wrap this thing up in about 15 minutes. So if you've got any Streamlabs or Super Chats you want to send through, now is the time. And we are at, let me see. Last I checked, we're at 181 likes. Let me see where we're at right now as it refreshes real quick. And
guys, I gotta say, nice. I really want you guys to tell me what movies I need to see. There's a bazillion and one movies I have not seen. I teased Rocha about it, but at the same time, I growing up, I watched like the same 100, 200 movies on repeat. And I can't tell you how many times I've seen Forrest Gump. But and The Rock. But at the same time, there's a bunch I haven't seen. I have not seen Terminator 1, Terminator 2. I have not seen a bunch of classic horror movies. I saw Candyman for the first time like 3 weeks ago. But there's so much I want to see. So I want you guys to tell me what I should see.
There you go.
Same guys.
Yeah. And you're right, Tim. Thanks for calling me out as Hella, not Hera. I have an issue with that L, as you saw with Hetty and Headley. So anyway, let's move on from that. Alex, what's our last story here that we got to talk about on the show?
Okay. So let me just tell you.
Good beginning. All right, here we go.
The hottest thing coming on too. Paul Feig is actually going to be the director of I'm not sure if it's a TV show or a movie, but he's going to be directing a young adult adaptation for The School of Good and Evil. So if you're not familiar with The School of Good and Evil, that's okay. I'm not super familiar either. But so it is essentially the story of these two girls that are at a certain point, they're like more of a coming of age. They're like 13, 14 years old. They're about to enter this like fantasy school where based on their personality, they're either assigned to go to the School of Evil, where like a lot of villains, like Maleficent and, a lot of like the bad people go to. And there's also the School of, the heroes, where like Cinderella and Snow White go to. And these two girls, they look very different. One of them is like really pretty really pretty and very, kind of thing.
Right,
She
right.
like assumes, like, based on her personality and everything, she's like, yeah, girl, I'm going to go into the School of the Heroes. What's up? But she's actually assigned to go to a school of villains. So there's a whole thing. And also the girl that's assumed, because she wears emo makeup and she has dark hair and everything, there's the assumption she's going to be going over to the School of Villains. Girl, no, she's going to go over to the heroes. What's up? So it's this really wonderfully fantastic, a coming of age, a young adult adaptation. It's immensely popular. It has sold. It's like one of the best-selling young adult franchises, not franchises, but a series in a very long time. It has over 6 books, and so to say it has a lot of information and a lot of potential is to put it mildly. But it's people that are going to be writing it. It's a Life of Pi writer. His name is David Maggie. But as well as Laura Salons of Let Us Know from Netflix's Writer Salon. They're going to be writing the screenplay for it. But, Feige, he's going into this. He's coming off of several movies that are kind of really hit and miss. Feige, he's going to direct and produce, and is very impassioned to adapt this young adult story, saying, I am very truly excited to bring this amazing, touching, funny, and empowering world that the Soman has created in his wonderful books to life. I feel like a frog that's turned into a prince, and I see what you did. But this makes me super excited. I would love it. Not to mention it's coming from Netflix. I really have so much confidence in them to really make this an original movie. Also, coming off of a lot of, coming of age movies and romances and sci-fi fantasy and everything, it makes me very, very confident about this. Kind of thinking about this director kind of picking this project.
No, I mean, Paul Feig lately has been a little hit or miss, and I didn't like his comments the other day, which I was thinking about putting on the show, but I felt it wasn't the biggest deal to make a separate story about. But I didn't like his comments about blaming the Ghostbusters movie reception on the election. I thought that was, look, you just made a bad movie, just accept it, move on. For a lot of us, you made a bad movie. Some people like that movie, and no offense to those people at all. You're obviously, in my world, you're free to like whatever you like. And I just didn't like that movie. It was a bad movie. It had nothing to do with the Trump or Hillary election. It had nothing to do with that. It's just that people just didn't like that movie. There have been plenty of female-led movies that have kicked ass no matter who's in the presidency. So I thought it.
I definitely agree with you on that. It was very much vilified, though, for a lot of people. I personally know people that said, I'm not going to see that just because they use women as and unfortunately, now I'm not saying that was a majority of the people. That's the reason why it didn't make bank. But at the same time, just knowing there were people out there, there was that very vocal, incredibly vocal minority that, just handful of people that did it. It's very frustrating to see. And it's easy to blame, absolutely, on Feige's part. It just, the movie is not great. I mean,
that's what it is, and that's what it is at the end of the day.
It's not a great movie, but I don't think there's any one person to blame. It was,
well, that's what I'm saying, and that's why I think. I mean, look at Captain Marvel. The same people were saying the same thing. I'm not going to see that. They're purposely trying to make a female-led superhero movie, made over $1 billion. If you make a decent film or a good film, and I thought Captain Marvel was decent, not good, people will come. Wonder Woman took the same thing, but people love that movie. So it's had nothing to do with the election, in my opinion, overall affecting the box office. Anyway, but he made A Simple Favor, which is a fantastic little jewel of a film that a lot of people like, with Anna Kendrick and Blake Lively. So seeing him step into this situation, I think, is a perfect director to be involved with this, because this one also feels a little bit like Wicked, that musical where you had, with Kristen Chenoweth and Idina Menzel, where she's playing Glenda and Idina's playing I forget the Green Witch, Wicked Witch of the West or East, wherever it is. Like, do you see? Elphaba. So you get that kind of battle between them about who's really good, who's evil, who is it more gray than you think. And this is interesting too, because once again, it is that you can't judge a book by its cover thing that a lot of media has really been pushing forward in their storylines, in their shows, and in their movies. So once again, here we go. Pretty girl, nice, blonde, all blah, 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 blah. You think that this one's going to be obviously a fairy tale princess. No, she's a villain. What? And the other one, who you would normally think is going to be a villain, she's a fairy tale princess. So what do we do with that? So I love it. And if they have a friendship, which of course, that's where the Wicked thing comes into it. But overall, I like this idea, and I love Paul Feig, getting involved with this and doing his magical touch on this. And I imagine it'll be fantastic when it comes out, and some good people are behind this thing. And The writer, Soman Chayanani, she chimed in and said, to have one of your favorite directors adapt your book into a film for Netflix is an honor and a dream. Paul Feig is a brilliant filmmaker and a master of tone, a perfect fit for the twists and turns of The School for Good and Evil. I have no doubt that he will make a true fairy tale classic. So overall positivity, in my opinion.
Absolutely. He's one of those directors. Sure, he's very hit and miss, like you mentioned. But we can't forget, he's also, not only has he directed, just like any director, he's done some bad stuff. He's also done some great stuff.
Yes,
you can't forget how awesome Spy is, Bridesmaids, not only Simple Favor, but The Heat, but he's also involved with a lot of other, coming of age, as well as like a lot of other, kind of fantasy based shows, like Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist, he's involved with that, he's going to be doing Spy 2 here pretty soon, American Princess, Girl Code. So obviously this is like something it sounds like he's really trying to carve a niche out for himself as a director and as, being involved in these kind of productions. And I'm excited to see how his take on these kind of like fantasy worlds it's going to be, because I feel like it has, especially in the past like 5-10 years, it's become a huge trend, especially with the rise of Wicked and everything, like you said, to have not that in mythology, especially to have these kind of fairy tales, but with a twist, with a really cool turn. So I'm excited to see this really play out. And not to mention one of the most talked about, one of the most popular shows on television now is The Descendants, which is all about having that really cool twist and, young people in, that kind of high school level with a lot of these, fantasy-based characters from the fairy tales, kind of, go on these missions and kind of figure things out and to really kind of come into their own as potential heroes and villains and gain their confidence. So I'm really kind of curious to see how it's going to compare, contrast a little bit.
Yeah, I don't disagree. So we're looking forward to that, both of us. And of course, a good choice by Feige to get Feig. Sorry, I always get those two confused, to jump into this thing and put
very different person.
Yes, absolutely.
It's Kevin Feige. Kevin Feige.
We got one last super chat that rolled in through here. Michael Nip says, Alex needs a solo show on the Outlaw Nation, just talking about what classics she just watched. Well, sure. Maybe down the road we'll have that conversation for sure. Alex has been a great addition to the show already. So yeah, having her more involved in the Outlaw Nation, not a bad idea. But she's got that CTA blood going. She's got a million things going over there. So we'll see if she's got the time down the road. But certainly I've been enjoying this partnership very much. So nice suggestion there, Mike. For sure. Any more Streamlabs? No, but thanks, guys. Thank you to Sean Goodman for subscribing to the channel during the show. Yeah, that's another thing. We should probably wrap up here and finish out these last 5 minutes. Alex, what do you got to plug one last time?
Just follow me on Twitter. I'd really appreciate it. And, come check out the Call to Action podcast. I, as well as a few other people, we definitely work really hard on that podcast. And you can find us in audio form as well as a whole bunch of stuff on YouTube. So, yeah, come check us out.
There you go. Alex Talk. I like it. Alex Talk. I like that. So it might not be a bad idea for a title. We'll see. Check her out everywhere that Alex is doing things. She's a good, bright young star here in this world of punditry and criticism and movie discussions, and it's been fun to do the show with her. You can follow me at The Rocha Says on Twitter and on Instagram. See all the stuff I'm doing besides the Outlaw Nation channel stuff there as well. I post about everything I've got going on and what I'm doing in my world as well. But please subscribe to the channel down below. Hit that subscription button. Get us above 15,000 subscribers as soon as possible. Get us marching to 20,000 subscribers. That would be great as well. And also come find me on Twitch, The Outlaw Nation, all one word, lowercase. I'm there on Twitch, doing some shows real soon and jumping on there. I mean, Ben Goddard can't do everything on that damn stream. I got to jump in there and do some things as well. He's been killing it on Twitch as well. And don't forget Schmodown.
All those 12-hour streams. Come on.
I know.
I feel bad for the dude. That is
that's commitment.
Oh
that's
my gosh.
Yeah, no doubt. And don't forget the Schmodown Entertainment Network is on Twitch as well. They just did that Star Wars match that happened between Laura Kelly and Sean Sullivan. No No spoilers, but an incredible match that went all the way down to the wire. So definitely watch that if you can on their Twitch stream. Follow them over there as well. And for the Patreon, right there, right above me, please go and subscribe to on Patreon, www.patreon.com/John Rocha. Andrew Hale has gone in there, completely re-edited everything, made it clean as hell for everybody to understand and see the multiple tiers they can contribute to. And starting next week, we will finally launch our first bevy of shows that are patron-only shows that we'll put up on the Outlaw Nation channel there for Patreon. The Criterion Corner, that'll be next week, next Friday. We'll drop that next Friday. The Friday after, we'll drop an episode of The Outpost, which is a mailbag show. So send in any questions you want about the world of entertainment or anything at all, and I'll answer them over a half an hour show. Then the next week will be the OK Corral. That's a debate show, and certain level patrons will get to participate in this. They will debate each other about a subject that I present to them a few days beforehand, but they will not know which side they're going to debate until the show is about to start. So, and then the Outlaw Rides Again, which is a show we're working on as well, which is where a patron or a guest will come on to the show and we will rewatch one of the Outlaws' old matches and have a conversation and questions throughout that and have a little fun with it. Also, the two hangouts, one on Discord every Wednesday, and then we do a Blue Jeans hangout on camera. That'll be later on tonight for anybody who is $7 and above. You're a $7 and above patron. You get to hang out with my crew that is also $7 and above, and we are on camera discussing about everything that's going on in the world of entertainment and in your worlds as well in there. So that's everything going on in the Patreon. Come get involved. Come give some love to this guy right here and everything he's trying to build at the Outlaw Nation channel. All right, Alex, I think that's it. Yeah?
Yeah, and just saying, I heard some people talking in the chat about me being potentially Robin. What? I'm not Robin.
Not
okay.
Robin.
If anything, I'm Batwoman.
Oh, okay.
Just saying, I'm Robin.
She's not Robin. I never pitched her as Robin, so I want to make that very clear. And if you're Batwoman, you and Lucas need to have a conversation. So, all right, that's
Oh, come on now.
that's the situation there.
I could be Talia al Ghul, you know.
Yeah, I think that fits. I think that absolutely fits. I
just saying.
I could see you playing.
Just saying, I can be Catwoman, but I don't really care about diamonds or jewels all that much, but you know, or poison. Wait, I don't want to be Poison Ivy.
It could be Robin, but be Nightwing, right? Isn't Nightwing's pretty badass on his own?
I mean, yeah. Yeah, guys, how dare y'all?
Thanks, guys. Thanks so much, guys. Now I got to deal with this. Thank you all so much for doing that bullshit. She is not right.
No, if anything, I'll be Man Bat because of that.
Oh, Man Bat.
Man Bat.
Brilliant. Man Bat. That's perfect. All right. Well, that's it. Let's wrap it up. We got to go. Remember, SEN Live, 10 a.m. in the morning. Go and enjoy Christian there with Brett Sheridan. They're going to have some fun. And don't forget to tune back in on Monday morning for another brand new episode of Mornings with the Outlaw with my special guest, Alex Shashek. You guys have yourselves a great weekend. And hey, whatever you need to do through this weekend, bring yourself some peace, get through the crazy stuff that's going on in the world. I know a lot of people are very upset about some of the stuff that happened last night, some of the tweets that went down last night. Hey, find your peace. Maybe put this show back on and laugh a little bit and distract you from some of the tougher things that are going on in the world right now. We all need it. And hopefully you take the time this weekend, kind of get back in touch with things that make you feel at peace. Because we all need it in this world right now. All right. Until Monday morning, have yourselves a great weekend, and we will talk to you next time.
Bye.